looking at the task before the new EFCC chairman. His name is hold on, Abdurrashid Bawa, and he's 40 years old. A lot of Nigerians have hailed, the president for nominating a young person into that office, but that is not enough, because we've had Enoh Ogbevire, for example, the pioneer chairman of EFCC, who was there in 2003. So we want to look at the task ahead of Abdurrashid Bawa, who was sworn in by the Senate yesterday. What is the task ahead of him? The last EFCC chair, Ibrahim Magu, he was never confirmed by the Senate, but he was there for 5 years. And his exit was embroiled with, court cases due to corruption charges, and all that. Of course, he's said, like many other people say when they're in these situations, I'm not guilty. Maybe it's a witch hunt, maybe some political, vendetta and all that. But here we are. The new EFCC chair yesterday said he was going to do all he can to ensure that they recover all looted funds. But that's on one side. On the other side, we want to look at, the operations of the EFCC. Some things have happened recently that have made people question how they go about arresting people, the court cases, the charges against suspects and all that. I've got Henry Ekine on the line. And by the way, he was zonal head of EFCC, Port Harcourt. I'm talking about Abdurrashid Bawa. Yes, he was. I think we spoke to him here. Must have been 2019. Yes, must have been 2019, just before the elections or around the elections. Yes, I recollect that one. So let's have Mr. Henry Ekine. He's a lawyer based in Port Harcourt, talk to us this morning. Good morning, Henry. Hello, Henry.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me this morning. It's my pleasure.
All right. So a young new EFCC chairman, he was one of the commission's Clause 1 cadets, and primarily it looks like he's been put in to reset the EFCC on a trajectory of professionalism, independence, and service. Of course, the war against corruption, is expected to be strengthened, refocused. Those who've stolen from the country are supposed to return, the loot or be forced to. And Mr. Bawa is the first head of the EFCC that is not a policeman, was never a policeman, breaking the tradition from 16 years, till now. So some people are excited about this, but let's look at the task before him. Let's look at the task before him. One of the issues that have been raised by certain people is that the EFCC as an institution is weak, and that some, past leaders have been subservient to political authority instead of being loyal to the Constitution. Let's start with that. And this is not the only office or the only officer that has, that seems to have this, sort of coloration or perceived coloration. Ekine.
Yes, thank you. It is really a concern that when institutions are established by law and empowered with some functions and mandates to carry out, expected to be independent, and then they are perceived to rather be dependent on either some individuals or some institutions. It becomes really an unfortunate experience. And like I said, I agree, it is not exclusive to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So there has been this perception really about the independence of the institution entirely, and of course the leadership of the institution in successive regimes to those who appointed them. That has been one of the challenges of effective results from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I agree with that. However, there have been a number of successes as well, and of course some impact on the fight against economic crimes and of course financial crimes. And the establishment of the institution is a deliberate demonstration of that intention of government or of the state. And of course with the enabling legislations, a number of them in different areas. So I think it's a mix of what could be the results of the effectiveness or the determination of the effectiveness of the EFCC. We've seen situations where it's seemingly clear that there may be perversion of justice, or seemingly clear that there may be some dependence in some sorts, or political influence in some respect. But at the same time, you could also see situations where very significant matters may have been handled, and in some respects too, some results, some level of results that we have got, of even persons who are politically exposed that may have been brought to the dragnet of the EFCC and tried. So I think for me it's a balance of an argument both ways.
Okay. Let's talk about the arrests, and some of the cases that they've prosecuted in the past. We've seen a few that were thrown out or didn't, continue because of, some shortcomings on the part of their legal team.
Yes, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Establishment Act, of course, provides for the functions and powers of the Commission. I think relative to Sections 6 and 7 of the Establishment Act provide for these functions and powers of the EFCC. And then that has enabled them to enforce a number of legislations in respect to economic and financial crimes in this country. And then particularly in respect to their successes, or rather failure, I think it's been an issue of the processes of their investigation and the quality of investigation. And of course, I say one thing, Enoh, that the quality and process of investigation in any criminal process, criminal proceeding, will determine to a large extent the prospect of success or failure of that prosecution. That's a statement of fact. And how do I mean? If the investigation which produces evidence for prosecution is poor or not diligently carried out, then you will not have credible and quality evidence to be able to successfully prosecute a crime. So I think in the case of the EFCC, I perceive in a whole lot of the cases, but it's a floodgate of cases where we have had poor handling of those cases, and of course probably poor results, and of course in some cases, like being thrown out, I mean struck out or dismissed for poor prosecution. It begins with the process of investigation, the quality of investigation, and then also with our lopsided process of criminal adjudication, where instead of the security agencies starting with investigation, they usually will start with arrest. And when you start with arrest, you've turned the trajectory upside down, or rather the process, and then you will miss the point. Now, if you actually started with investigation and quality investigation with experts doing the investigation, forensic investigation, particularly in respect of finance and financial crimes, then you would come up with quality evidence. And then with quality evidence, you wouldn't have to be having 20, 30, 50 counts when you want to prosecute a suspect on any financial crime. You would have had a situation where you would have narrowed down and be focused on the number of counts. I think, for instance, I think this one that just a few days ago, about a week, this February, that was before the Federal High Court. And that was this former Chief of the Air Staff, Air Force, yes, Mohammed Diko, where 7-count charge preferred against him. And then at the end of it, his legal team just entered a no-case submission, that no case had been established against him. There is no direct link of the case of the prosecution to their client. And the court agreed with them to a large extent because 6 of the counts were taken off. And then he was just asked to open defense for just 1 count, the 7th count. So if there was thorough investigation that produced credible evidence, of course the prosecution would have been more successful. And the number of cases that have suffered that kind of fate can only be alluded to the fact that they're probably not proper investigation, and so didn't produce credible evidence. And then to that extent, the prospect of success will really be slim. Another challenge for them not having successes in their cases would also be the length of time of prosecution. And you see, the focus and the potency of it begins to wither away because most of them are politically exposed persons. Not that if prosecution is to stay long, if there were other citizens, that this effect would have been there. But I'm sensitive to the fact that most of these suspects, at least the cases that are of concern to all of us, are politically exposed persons. So you would never know what may be transpiring when the prosecution is taking an unreasonably long time. Sometimes the populace, the citizens begin to even forget about it. And then it opens a door and a window for a backdoor arrangement. And by the time you know, no successful prosecution comes out of it. So we probably would have just heard of a number of arrests, a number of arraignments, but we don't hear that such number of successful prosecution again. So, and again, because of the sensitive nature of economic and financial crimes, the quality of prosecution is another issue. You have to have persons, we are lawyers, no doubt, but prosecution is a very sensitive aspect, criminal prosecution, of litigation, and particularly when it comes to economic and financial crimes, where a lot of the evidence you may need may be forensic. And then a lot of these suspects in economic and financial crimes do their crimes in some very organized manner. So it requires extensive forensic or even expertise to be able to get those credible evidence that you require to successfully prosecute this kind of matter. So I think that moving forward, these are even the issues that the young man, congratulations to him, and then the new EFCC to begin to look at very critically. Because the issue is not about whether there are economic and financial crimes across the country. They are everywhere. But they even have a long way to go. A number of the cases they have not probably even opened up to begin to investigate. So they should focus on their investigation, the quality of investigation, probably even having greater part of their funding into investigation. So that once investigation is effective and then you come out with credible evidence, it becomes an easy process in prosecution in court.
All right. I know that the past EFCC chairman was accused of, carrying out several media trials. Do you think that weakened, the power of the commission or the effectiveness of the commission?
Yes, sorry, several what?
Media trials.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes, it's also, it goes to the same explanation, I think, trying to lay the foundation. Why would you engage in media trial, especially even in a very sensitive aspect of our pursuit for the fight against corruption and economic crimes? What effect will the media trial really get to us, to even changing the scenario, the status quo, changing the reality that confront us of the enormous cases of corruption, economic and financial crimes? Now, if you had conducted thorough investigation and you have evidence already, the issue is not about coming to the media to whip some kind of sentiment to get the media to already condemn a citizen. And even by the rights of every citizen, we have canvassed this in a number of situations, and then against this kind of practice of parading people and getting to media trial. It will not take us anywhere. The media will never adjudicate the rights or wrong of any individual. Comments may be made, no doubt, but it is not a finding of guilt in any way. Even when the entire population, look at the Dasuki's case. All the media hype about Istanbul Dasuki, where are we? Also very recently, just about within the last 1 week, the FFK's matter also came up. That's Femi Fani-Kayode. Over 200 million naira was traced to his account or to him on investigation. The EFCC prosecution witness, I think the third prosecution witness, was only able to tender his statements. And of course, their search warrant or something, or a warrant that was given to them. Is that credible evidence? That you actually investigated how over 200 million naira was linked to him? But anyway, that's not the conclusion. conclusion of the matter, but it's just an example. But all of the media reportage and all of the reactions about the Sambo Dasuki's matter, where are we? All of those individuals that were linked to it, different amounts of money, how far have we gone? So it really isn't the way to go, but it's about thorough investigation, getting credible evidence that will lead you to successful prosecution.
So, something happened recently in Ibadan where the EFCC was said to have arrested over 89 party goers, and they tagged them Yahoo boys.
Yes.
So people were saying that these people are a joke, that you went to a party, you pick people from a club, and then you come out. I mean, the EFCC post here, January 20, 2020 reads, EFCC Ibadan zonal office at the weekend arrested 89 suspected internet fraudsters at the popular club 360 located on the Akala Expressway, Oluyole extension in Ibadan, the Oyo state capital. And one of the feedbacks, one of the responses to that tweet was, only a fool would believe this. 89 Yahoo boys, you're like, were they all doing in the club at once? Abi, they were hosting Yahoo boy PTA meeting. Rubbish.
Yes, it is a concern. Let me just go back to the fixed count charges that were the DICO discharged on fixed count charge. You know what the court said? That they were all mere suspicion. And in law, whether you have a truckload of suspicion or assumption, they would never make a fact. They would never make any credible evidence. So the man was discharged on 6 counts out of the 7 counts charge, and principally because that all of what the EFCC had done all the years, it was on mere suspicion. So the same thing, if the EFCC Ibadan zone had seen some 87 or whatever number of young men probably coming out from a club or a party, and then it perhaps looks like, in your own view, some young men who you suspect that the sources of their finances or money or all that, they may be Yahoo boys. So it goes down really to how do we conduct investigation in this country. If you have reasonable suspicion of commission of a crime by any citizen or any individual, you commence with investigation. It could be discreet investigation. It could be thorough investigation. It could be forensic investigation. So that you carry out investigation and you directly link these individuals to certain activities. In some cases, when you even round them up and then you pick them up and you present your investigation reports or results so far to them, you find them not even having any option but to yield to perhaps plea bargain. And that's why plea bargain has been brought into the Administration of Criminal Justice Act to legalize it and then to make it, to bring in a legal framework. So if you do not follow the usual normal thorough investigation, then you find yourself in this situation where you just round up individuals. So if you see me probably with a long necklace and then a very beautiful cat, you say I'm a Yahoo boy. And what does that mean? It's suspicion. It's assumption. Okay. Yes, I know that as a security agency, they have the power so stretched to even arrest on reasonable suspicion. But even when you arrest on reasonable suspicion, then you commence investigation. You can't take any step. You don't even keep the individual any longer than the constitutionally provided period that you have to restrain his liberty. So how much have we got any success in that kind of practice? So moving forward and in the new regime, one would expect that this is also one of the changes that we would expect, that if you suspect that some young Nigerians are Yahoo, so to speak, that cybercrime and advanced fee fraud or money laundering or any of those offenses that the EFCC is mandated to enforce and investigate and, of course, prosecute suspects, then you should be sure that your investigation is thorough. It goes, all of this discussion we would have, the bottom line will be about thorough investigation to get credible evidence for successful prosecution.
All right, someone is asking here, it says, why is Nigeria so corrupt? Perhaps that will give us an understanding why the EFCC is just another tool in the hands of politicians. Why is the EFCC not working hand in hand with the Assets Declaration Commission? Perhaps it should be a routine exercise. In my opinion, EFCC is a toothless bulldog that can bark and cannot bite. So, would you say that, or would you agree that the EFCC is a tool in the hand of politicians?
Yeah, in the beginning of this discourse, even we had alluded to that when I said it's a mix of both ends. Yes, there could be perceived influence and perversion of investigation or investigation processes and even of justice by politically exposed individuals. I recall that most of the cases are handled by the EFCC that will attract our attention. That's not to say there are no other matters that the EFCC is handling that probably are targeted at individuals, some in other contract scam and all that. But attract our attention are usually the politically exposed suspects. And indeed, we have seen cases where, imagine moving from one party to another could have a sway or an influence on what is happening on a particular politician's case with the EFCC, prosecuted by the EFCC. And then Nigerians are already aware of all of this. And then for me, yes, this is true. Whether they would agree is not the issue, but this is true. So yes, political influence may have affected the independence of the EFCC, and of course, it therefore would affect the effectiveness of the outcome of their investigation and their prosecution, really.
Okay, so,
but at the same time, too, there are successes that they have had, and then I wouldn't know the justification for those successes, even for very big politically exposed persons that have been brought down. Even the fact of getting them investigated and prosecuted is one step, but again, there are also many that have actually been convicted. So let us not also forget that as much as we are discussing the EFCC, that successes in the prosecution and conviction of even politically exposed persons in economic and financial crimes are also in their records.
All right. Ekine, thank you for your time. Let's go for a break, and then we'll take calls and comment.
Oh, thank you very much,
Ekine, lawyer based in Port Harcourt, telling us some of the things that he thinks the EFCC chairman, the new one, Abdul Rashid Bauer, needs to pay attention to. So commercial will play. Afterwards, I'll put on the phone lines, and then we can hear from you. We are Nigerian football.
We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Young, vibrant, but does he have the answer that some Nigerians seek in respect to the institution? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0009 are the numbers to call. His name is Abdurrashid Bauer. Sounds like Jack Bauer. I don't know, but We're on Twitter at Nigerian for PH, on WhatsApp 0809030616. Okay. Let's see. 0809030616. We are on Twitter at Nigerian for PH, on WhatsApp 0809030616. During the screening yesterday, there was a question that was asked about some asset sale in Port Harcourt while he was, chairman of the zone, and he said, I'm not guilty. Well, let's take a call. Good morning. Hello?
Good morning to you, the Enigma.
Good morning.
This is Mr. Zion from Port Harcourt. Indeed, we got a man of our age, vibrant as we may be perceiving. But let me be honest to you. A bar higher than him has been set before him. And it will take his integrity and his doggedness to achieve that purpose. But the present structure of the EFCC, in collaboration with the federal government, how well will he succeed? Take note, when Magu came in, we gave him a stand-up ovation. He will do well. But what happened at the end? You gave him a title, the Jack Bauer. Of course, some of us may have watched the movie and we have seen what Jack Bauer did. Can he deliver the nation like the way Jack Bauer from 24 did? Except he needs to exonerate himself from that cartel that monkeys were swallowing money, lions were swallowing money, to a point some Nigerians were asking, where is that concussion that people will drink and turn us to animals, which want to swallow the money? Except he deal with that, he may be facing more challenges. But I will support him to make Nigeria a better place. Now, for the assets of River State, I think it's also a call for concern for the River State government to stand up and respond to this effect. If truly those properties seized from River State were sold or not, because I am interested in this case. I want to know about it.
All right.
Mr. Zion.
08179230002, 08179230003, 08179230009. For those who may not know, Bauer graduated from the Usman Danfodio University in Sokoto in 2001, joined the EFCC as Assistant Detective Superintendent in 2004, holds a Master's in International Affairs and Diplomacy from the same university in 2012. We'll get into his resume some more. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm happy for seeing 40 years old to handle such things. But my concern is, can this so-called elite, can this so-called old men, old politicians, can they allow this man to do his work? If they catch somebody who ate somebody's money, can they allow the guy to do his work? Or somebody who is public money, can the cabal allow this young man to do his work? Because one thing we face in this country is that nobody wants somebody to talk truth. Once you talk truth, you become the enemy. But I will have to say that this government is a failed government. Thank you, Enoh.
All right, thank you for calling. Will the old ones allow the young one work? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. As far as I'm concerned, I don't expect any magic from
Bauer.
Bauer, because his appointment has been much in controversy. You know the background from the Attorney General of the Federation, Malawi, the role he played, and it's what happened with Magu. As we speak today, the report of Justice Salami's panel has not been made public to find out the plot or the crime against Magu. So the recall a famous perpetual injunction in River State against the River State government. The EFCC ought to appeal against that judgment within 3 months. But they allowed 6 years to pass before the measure has to appeal against it. And the question is that what were your reasons for the delay, which they cannot surmount it today? So you can see that the politicians will use the EFCC as a tool. Thank you.
Good morning. Taking us back to the politicians, using the EFCC as a tool. And on my submission, okay, this is my submission. EFCC. Oh, that's taking a bit. I'll take this call. I'll come back to that. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Noah.
Good morning.
Happy weekend advance.
That's the thing.
Yeah, my name is Ochi and I'm calling you from Oboko. I think Dr. Ekine needs to come back to tell some of us or clear some of us about a particular aspect, because we need to know the power. We know he needs to tell us how can we be able to that immune that some governors have, because I think it's a problem. Because the immunity that some of them has enjoyed when they were governors and the rest of them, how can we be able to legally in court take that off from them? Because I think this is going to be a big problem. Thank you very much.
You're talking about prosecuting people in government.
Yes, prosecution, yes. Because when the prosecution comes, there are some persons that will come and say they have immunity. Immunity has a lot of things to do when it comes to sincerity in EFCC. Thank you very much.
But like Oji Uzo Kalu, you can't be in office forever. The day will come. So I don't know if it's the delay that you're concerned with. Perhaps that's what it is, or the fact that sometimes because they're in office, they cannot be prosecuted at that time. This is my submission. The EFCC should report to National Assembly and not the President, as the case is in Nigeria. That's the only way the EFCC can bark and bite. But the National Assembly are not barking, they're not biting. Why is it that the federal government feels that it is the only... Oh, okay. It's going the nepotism way. Only Northerners who can handle the EFCC. Don't we have competent people from the South who can do the job? CC is asking for more. Hello?
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, my sister, no, good morning. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, this is Henry calling from Bolurumibo.
All right.
I think it's a welcome development for we having a 40-year-old man to handle such a delicate office. But my worry is this. These our corrupt leaders, politicians, would they allow him to carry out his functional duty with free hand by not bringing some issues around him? Because one of the things I come to understand in our political appointment is when they give you that appointment, you are there to serve some interests. And until we begin to get it right is when we begin to understand that some, things are not supposed to come from some certain angles. Some appointment needs to be, self-controlled. But I strongly believe that, I wish him well. If he asks me, I wish him well. On the areas of the assets, no competent of the division have come to, indict this young man, by selling assets or not. So I think we should leave that issue. And also support him to carry out, to look for our assets that have been sold by some, have been convicted by some politicians, for we to move forward. I think he's a young boy because Nigeria is the only country where you see a 60-year-old man becoming a youth leader in a political office, in the local government areas. So now we have a 40-year-old man. I think we should wish him well.
All right. I don't know if wishes will go a very long way to, translating into achievements and effectiveness. Where are we? I was going to keep reading some of his bio. Told you he went to Usman Dan Fodio University. Got a master's there as well. What else? He spent about 16 years working with the EFCC as a detective. Okay, as a detective. He's pursuing a Bachelor of Laws degree at the University of London. He was part of the pioneer EFCC cadet officers, Course 1 2005, and he rose to become Deputy Chief Detective Superintendent, DCDS, a position he's been holding since 2016 until his nomination. He's got vast investigative experience and has been part of the prosecution of advanced free fraud, official corruption, bank fraud, money laundering, and other EFCC related offenses. Okay. 0817-923-0002. We're on Twitter at NigerianFootPH, on WhatsApp 08090306 talking about the new EFCC boss Bauer, the task ahead of him: 1, ensure that politicians will not use him to witch hunt others. Round face, not turn by turn. 2, maintain integrity. 3, make Nigeria a better place. Ensure that money laundering will be terminated. That's not even a possibility. Happens all over the world. That's why it's called crime. Like bicycle crime self, no the end. Bauer cannot do better than Magu until that institution is well legally rearranged. It is weak. Basanjo established both ICPC and EFC did it to fight its political enemies without proper legal framework. That's why you see all the what. Okay. Back to the phone line. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
On to Nigerian Info.
Yes, you are.
Peter calling from Bonny Street.
All right.
Concerning the topic this morning, it's not all about, I'm not against the government picking a younger person. It's a very good one, and I love it. But the truth is that the age of the young man does not really change anything. It's all about changing the system. The system is totally corrupt, and it needs to be changed. Until we change the system, before, if you bring a younger person will be able to perform well. Remember, there are old people there, old board members of the EFCC. Definitely, the system will surely corrupt the young man. The young man might be genuine, he might have good plans for the EFCC. But if the system is not being cleaned, definitely the man won't do otherwise, like other of his predecessors. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy weekend in advance. My name is Indiso from Odili Road.
All right.
Yes, 40 years old young man, now the EFCC chairman. We thank God for that. I'm happy because since we are saying let the young ones come up. So today, 40 years is there. And people used to criticize it. Now somebody on your WhatsApp message that is from the north. Thank God he rolled out his biography. Now this guy is working with EFCC for 16 years. And the department the guy is handling is a sensitive department. I thank God for that. Today, when you read the biography, many people are thinking they want to bring the boy from one corner, come and be. But the boy has an experience. Thank God for that. Let them allow this young man to do his work, because I know with his biography that he read and he's working with EFCC for 16 years, he will have in and out ideas on how to tackle issues. Let us join them together and make sure that this young man work well done.
All right.
Start bringing one sentiment or the other. I thank God for a 40-year-old young man to handle our office. Let us see how the appointment will go.
All right. Thank you very much. Should be so. Final call. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
40 years is just a number. The most important thing is what stuff is he made up of. The young man has a very good career. He's exposed. But that is not what is required in EFCC. What is required in EFCC is tact, some level of diplomacy, and then also financial knowledge, of which the young man is not lacking. But my greatest fear is that when Malami was actually picked as the Attorney General of the Federation,
we all raised hope that he was a young man. But events, as the Attorney General of the Federation, actually revealed that he's a stooge. So the best thing that can happen to Bauer is for him to delink himself from those people, which is practically impossible because there's a godfather there that actually sponsored him. That's an opinion.
All right. Perhaps you keep that to yourself. Emmanuel from Port Harcourt says you cannot separate the chaff from the wheat. He can never be independent of the executive who appointed him. Before his appointment, he would have been sat down by the executive and given some boundaries of his operation. So, you know, there's this case, this allegation that he was arrested and detained by the EFCC under the former chairman, Ibrahim Magu, over illegal sale of 244 forfeited trucks to proxies in Port Harcourt. But during the screening yesterday, he told the Senate, I never sold a single truck at the Port Harcourt office. The head office handled that at the time. When I took over Port Harcourt, they had 34 convictions. But when I got there, we recorded 216 convictions. Port Harcourt. Okay. Anybody that's familiar with the process of the EFCC knows that the chairman doesn't have the power to sell an asset, but the secretary of the agency. If I had a skeleton, he would not have nominated me for this position. That's what Bauer told the senators yesterday. Well, he's been screened. He's now in office. Let's see how it goes. Will age favor him? Will his experience favor him? Time alone will tell. My name is Enoh Ogbevire. Stay out of trouble.
We connect you to the world. We connect you to the vicinity.